Fight fire with fire. One tactic for fighting a wildfire is to deprive it of fuel by burning the areas in front of it. Fire can't burn what's already been burned. And that tactic is enlightening when we consider Jesus' pyromaniac proclamation. I have come to set the earth on fire, and how I wish it were already blazing. Is the reason it's not blazing because it's already been burned? Of course, the fire Jesus speaks of is a metaphor for the fire of love, specifically divine love, agape, self-giving and sacrificial love that seeks the salvation of souls and the glory of God above all else. Do you know what kind of fuel that fire needs? The fuel of human hearts. So to deprive God of that fuel, the devil and the fallen world strive to burn our hearts first with a much worse kind of fire. I must have been 9 or 10 years old when I first saw something made by that fire. Before high-speed internet and before smartphones, sharing pictures typically involved a floppy disk or a physical copy maybe printed at the library. Cliché as it sounds, I found it under the bed in a relative's room. 30 years later, my memory of it has faded some, but it's still there. That is the kind of power that this kind of fire has in a child's mind. Not that it's just images or that adults are much better off. The wicked fire I'm speaking of course, is lust, a result of original sin. It's that inclination to take the desire for life-giving union and twist it in the wrong direction, to make it a recreational activity, a mere itch to scratch, often at the expense of another human being. I often allude to it from here, but now I've chosen to address it head on, to explain why I've invited the whole parish to observe St. Michael's Lent for the intention of chastity. Some might consider this topic too delicate and divisive. Parents, don't worry, I'll be careful. But if it is divisive, so be it. Jesus warns us that he will bring division even into our families. Just think about those, so be it. Division in. Just think about one family member accepts the teaching of Jesus Christ while another embraces a more progressive view of their desires and identity. Again and again and again and again and again, the world rails against the church for being backward, behind the times on the pelvic issues. How often are we Catholics accused of being unwelcoming when we speak Jesus Christ's own words about God's design for our bodies? Don't get me wrong, some Christians are absolute jerks about this, using our moral teaching as an excuse to be downright cruel, and I'm sorry for that. But let's be real. Which extreme is more common in today's world? Is not every other form of media totally saturated with perversion and deviancy? Even if you think the pendulum is swinging back the other way, take note of just how deeply rooted this problem is. Why are you so worried about this, Father? Because it nearly cost me my vocation and my life. Little Alex 30 years ago didn't just get one look and walk away unburned. That was the beginning of a long battle. And if it weren't for the miraculous intervention of Mary, it could have led me to make choices that made this impossible. By God's grace, I didn't make those choices. And I'm here today to say that lust is poisoning you and your children and the world. Over 100 years ago, Our Lady of Fatima told the children that sins against chastity were the most common reason souls went to hell. Do you think it's gotten better in the last 100 years? We just celebrated Mary's Assumption, reminding us that even our bodies are destined for eternal glory in union with God. All of our teaching on chastity and purity comes not from shame or hatred of the body or rejection of beauty. It comes from this profound sense of our bodily destiny. That chastity is not about restriction, it is the freedom to truly love. Sins of the flesh don't merely bother God like he's some kind of squeamish prude. Lust enslaves us, reducing us to animals and literally changing the way the brain works. Lust distorts how we see ourselves and human nature, and left unchecked, it blinds us to spiritual realities. It causes division between soul and body, and it makes sacrificial, self-giving love nearly impossible. A heart consumed by lust does not easily catch fire with God's love. When children are continuously exposed to this stuff, it results in all kinds of mental and physical disorders: depression, anxiety, gender dysphoria, eating disorders. Somewhat ironically, it's probably contributing to the rise of ED in men in their 20s and 30s. When adults continuously engage with it, it prevents them from maturing in self-giving love, keeping them in an adolescent state spiritually and emotionally. It warps their perspective on motherhood and fatherhood. It undermines their marriages, and it makes them more likely to abuse the people they love. I'm not just talking about boys and men and online videos. Yes, we should block those websites, avoid those videos, delete those files. But know this: women and girls are getting pulled into this just as much. Most Christians, at least, agree that the videos are wrong. But far too many people give a pass to so-called romance novels. You know that word that I'm not saying that ends in ography? Well, ography in Greek means writing. The original adult content was written. Explicit descriptions of certain actions is not romance, it's smut. And it's just as sinful as the videos, mortally sinful. Tragically, the emotional attachments created by characters and complex fictional stories in the written form could make it worse than the videos. The stuff that some of these books introduce to children, it's gut-wrenching and disgusting. And if you didn't know before, now you do. If you read such things, stop it right now. Throw it away, burn it. Second guess those book talk and bookstagram recommendations. And for the love of God, check on what your children are watching and reading. Most children see much more than you think, much younger than you think. I was 9 and we didn't have the internet. Please do not give children unrestricted access to the internet. This stuff, whether it's written in pictures, in audio, in videos, or even just in our imaginations, it is addictive and destructive. All sin enslaves us, but sins of the flesh especially so. Lust is so human and so common and so understandable that it's easy to give it a pass. Don't. That's the bad news. So here's the good news. Freedom is possible. No matter how far you've gone, how deep in the muck you are, God's mercy can set you free. I've seen it. I've met so many who have received that grace and freedom. So do not be afraid and do not lose hope. As you probably know, however, it's not as simple as a single prayer asking for mercy. It takes real, ongoing conversion. This is why I have called for prayer and fasting across the entire parish. There are a lot of Christians fighting for us and with us, but it is going to take some humility and work on our part. What kind of work? Well, I've put some hyperlinks in this homily for when it's posted. We've added several resources to the parish website under the Parish Life section, under Chastity. In the meantime, here's 4 things to take away. Number 1, perseverance and hope. Do not give up. God will never stop forgiving you if you do not stop asking. Even if you fight until the day you die, but you repent all the while, on the day you die, you win. But if you persevere in turning to God all your life long, you'll almost certainly be freed before then. Do not give up. Perseverance. Number 2, be patient with yourself. Lust rewires the brain. Literally takes away some of our freedom. But neuroplasticity is real, and your brain can be rewired again even later in life, but it takes time. Yes, that first image in my mind is there, but it's faded, and many more are completely gone. It takes time. Be patient with yourself. Number 3, be ruthless with your environment. Block the apps and browsers and websites. Get rid of the extra devices you don't need. Place your internet access somewhere where it's harder to get away with things. If you fall consistently in the same times and places, change that environment. Be ruthless with it. Number 4, do not go it alone. No one escapes from lust by themselves. In our first reading, Jeremiah is stuck in the bottom of a muddy cistern, and he could not free himself, no matter how hard he tried or it rained. It took 4 other men to lift him out of the mud. Talk to someone, not just me in the confessional, although you should do that too. Yes, it's shameful to bring it up, but there are a lot of people struggling with this, which is why I'm preaching it every Mass this weekend. Prudently broach that subject with the right people, and you'll probably find them relieved to know they aren't the only ones, and they have someone to talk to. Seek therapy, get a buddy, join a group, do a 12-step program. Do not go it alone. And if this isn't your struggle, praise God. But it is the struggle of so many of your brothers and sisters, and your prayer and your fasting and your support could be the difference for them. As the letter to the Hebrews puts it, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us rid ourselves of every burden and sin that clings to us and persevere in running the race that lies before us, keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus. Run that race with me, with us. It's not too late to participate in St. Michael's Lent in whatever form you are able and willing to do. We fight fire with fire because you can't burn what's already been burned. And the love of God could in fact protect your heart from the fire of lust. But it's only partly true. That fire and what is burned cannot be burned again. If thrown into the sun, even ashes would be consumed and transformed into light. Just so, if you bring your lust-charred heart close enough to the Son of God, even that can be set alight. So draw closer and closer to him, for as long as you still live, there is hope. It is not too late to receive God's mercy, to be set free, and by the power of the cross, to be set ablaze with divine